We've all made a difference. It would be a different world if we were not in it. Hopefully, whatever that difference is gets carried forward by people who may know nothing about us, but may be deeply influenced by us. And they teach their students. And finally, 300 years from now, a person is sitting frightened by some dreadful diagnosis. Their practitioner comes into that room and behaves in a certain way and has certain goals. And I am present and alive in that room, even though I've been dead for 500 years.
Because your spiritual DNA has gotten passed out.
Has gotten passed out. And that's what's important to me, that we've helped humanity manifest its best self in some way. And I think of Commonweal that way, of humanity manifesting its best self.
Don't take it, don't. Don't take it, don't. Don't take it, don't. Don't take it, don't.
Welcome to the New School at Commonweal. I'm Rabbi Irwin Keller, and I am so thrilled today to be here with Dr. Rachel Naomi Remen, who is a pioneer in lots of areas in healing and health, caring for not just for patients, but also caring for the doctors who care for the patients. We've been talking, and we're in the middle of a conversation about Jewish identity in America. What has your relationship with Judaism been, and how has it affected you?
I think it's affected me very deeply, but I don't think I knew that for about 40 years. I don't think I had any idea how deeply I was affected by it.
Were you sent to any kind of Jewish school? Did you have like a Jewish education, or is this all like what you bring with you from your family experience from?
My parents were young communists.
Very Jewish?
Yes, but communists.
Yeah.
My grandfather, on the other hand, was an Orthodox rabbi.
Yeah. This is your mother's father.
My mother's
Rabbi
father.
Ziskind.
Both my parents worked, so that my grandparent had a lot to do with the amount of time that they spent with me was really a lot. And my grandfather had a huge influence on me. He was the closest adult that I knew. And he wasn't really like an adult. He was sort of magical. He was full of stories. He had there were things you did that, like you lit candles and stuff like that. I mean, I was absolutely my grandfather's grandchild.
How old were you when he died?
7.
Only 7, because he looms so large in our conversations and in
and
what
in
you've
my
written.
Life. Yeah.
You know, a whole book about him, stories about him.
Yeah. Yeah, I was 7 years old when he died, and my mother, who was a high-level nursing person, very concerned, should she take me to a psychiatrist to talk about my grief over my grandfather? I was so close to him because I never talked about him and all of this. And the doctor said, just leave her alone, she'll talk about him. But I didn't. And so she eventually asked me about Grandpa. Did I miss Grandpa? And I said, yes, but it's better now. And she said, why is it better? And I said, because I can take him to school with me.
Oh, wow. That's quite an insight for a child to have.
Mm-hmm. And I talked to him for years as a child.
Do you still?
I don't talk to him. I have a sense of him.
You're such a continuation of his legacy. You're able to see that, yeah?
No, I don't see that. I never went to synagogue.
But you're a storyteller, right? And the things you say about him are often about the stories he would tell you,
and stories about him.
And you learned as a young child the power of story to touch people, to change people's lives.
Not even to touch people, to help people to live. To help people to know how to live deeply and well, and how to relate to other people stories made us human.
Rachel, he would be so proud of you.
Yeah. I've been telling stories all my life. My books are books of stories. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, even today, when I put the manuscript in for the books, there were people who said, we can't publish this.
So who was it that took the leap to say, yes, let's give it a try?
The original people at the publishing house, but we can't publish this, and there are no footnotes.
They wanted something different from you, right? They wanted something academic from you.
Not academic, but respectable. Stories aren't respectable. They're the language of children and old ladies.
Right. The devaluing of text that's not canonical.
Let's put it this way. I think stories is how the wisdom gets passed down from generation to generation.
And at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that when you deprive children of stories, you deprive them of a very big part of their sense of who they are. Yeah.
I want to take a moment just to recognize where we are physically and say something about this space. Because we're in your office outside of your house in Concord, California.
We're actually into what used to be an abandoned garage.
An abandoned garage, which is now very gemütlich.
Yeah.
We are surrounded by a very large collection of china teacups.
Yes.
And we are sitting over a rug that you've
Crawled on when I was a year old. I crawled on this as an infant. I know it's I don't even know what kind of a rug it is. A Persian carpet, perhaps, and it has a lot of detail, a lot of rosebuds and flowers and stuff. I knew every flower on this rug the way only a child that has crawled across it over and over again can know them.
And when you left New York,
this was the only thing from my past I took with me.
By that time, when you moved to California, your parents were gone already?
No, they were still in New York. They were elderly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they let you roll up the rug and take it.
The rug belonged to me.
How did that happen?
I don't know. But I always knew that the rug was mine.
And the teacups?
The teacups is another story entirely. My mother... we didn't have a lot of money. We had a lot of education, and we did some very good things for society with that education. But we didn't have a great deal of money. And we lived in a one-bedroom apartment on the 6th story of an apartment house in New York City. And my mother loved beautiful things, and she had 3 teacups. And they were Royal Doulton, really beautiful teacups. And some of them had little turquoises set into them, and beautiful. And they were kept on a very special shelf in the living room. And when I got to be an older person, I've always loved secondhand things. They feel alive to me, whereas things that I buy in a big department store don't feel alive at all to me. So most of everything in my house belonged to somebody else at some point in its life. And my mother left me her 4 teacups, which were the most beautiful things that she owned, right? And I began to, because I would always be going to garage sales, I began to notice things like teacups, right? And I bought 1 or 2, and then I began to realize there were incredibly beautiful, very fine teacups around that most people didn't seem to know what they were. So I just kept taking them home with me. I spent like $2 on a Royal Doulton teacup. And I ended up with a very large collection of teacups.
Are your mother's teacups among them?
Mm-hmm.
I understand what you mean about the second-handness. My mother collected teacups also.
Now,
And after she died, we gave a lot of them away as keepsakes to people because people remembered them. She would only take them out for company. And so I ended up with maybe 8 of them or something like that. But one of them is one that I bought for her. And so even though I love it and I love how it looks, it doesn't quite feel like hers, right? It feels like it's an intruder in the collection of teacups that she either bought for herself or that were gifted to her by people who were not me.
that's interesting. If I look at it from her perspective, I would imagine it's the most important teacup in the whole bunch.
I still love it. I still look at it and think it's very beautiful. I'm pleased with the choice I made.
And I'm sure if she were here, she would tell you she was pleased with the fact that you thought to make that choice.
So now you have invoked what my mother would say to me, and I have invoked what your grandfather would say to you. So I'm wondering, do you hear the voices of ancestors? Is this something that is part of your experience or beliefs?
I think they're woven into us. I don't think that we hear their voices. I think that they're a presence in us. And at times, especially in times of crisis, we're not alone in the crisis. They're with us. And their wisdom is with us also. I think as you know, I have a chronic illness, and I was told when I was 15 that I would live another 10 years or so. And so I shouldn't go back to college. I was actually in college when I was 15. I shouldn't go back to college, but I should enjoy my 10 years, something along these lines. My sense is that the ancestors are not quite gone. They have a very profound influence on us that we're not aware of.
And sometimes we are aware of.
Sometimes we are, sometimes we're not, but we are definitely, it didn't start with us. We bring wisdom, and especially wisdom about survival and how to live and what's important, right? We bring that with us literally into the world when we're born. Yeah,
I think the side of it that we have to struggle with, we talk about a lot. We talk about the epigenetics, we talk about the ancestral traumas that we end up having to struggle to work with, to work around, to find the wisdom because they're messing up our lives in some way. But I think we don't talk about sort of what are the things that we're born with that come from them that are about love and care and compassion.
And even more important, about survival. And when I think about my own situation, I'm a survivor. And I think that I inherited that from a long line of survivors, as you have. We have managed to survive open-hearted, despite persecution, despite atrocities, despite contempt from other people, despite a lot of difficulties that were unfair.
And you have survived despite really some tremendous health challenges in your life that I think other people might have just buckled under.
It made me mad. I think the best thing that ever happened to me is that I was the spoiled child of elderly parents.
And so it gave you a sense of deservingness.
Exactly. It wasn't. I had to do things my way. Of course I did things my way. I was the child in the family. The most important person in the family.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But still, some of what you've faced has been really dire. You were in a coma, you told me.
For a year.
For a year. How old were you?
I was in college, so I must have been 15.
Right, 15. Oh, so this is about the same time that you received a diagnosis.
I received the diagnosis because I went into coma, and I was brought back from Cornell and hospitalized in New York for a year.
I think you've told me about that in the past as a fact, just sort of as a biographical fact. I think to myself, how would an experience like that follow me into my life? Right? There's something huge, there's something epic about that that's different from I had a surgery or I had an accident or I broke a limb.
Very different.
Right? This sort of being abducted from your life in a certain way for a year and then coming back, Rip Van Winkle, things have changed. And what that reentry must have been like for you and how that experience of being missing, the world being missing, the world coming back.
It's cognitive, and I think it's on a much more primitive level that you get in touch with the will to live as a very personal force. I mean, we are all in touch with the will to live. I mean, if a bomb suddenly fell on this room, we would all immediately act out of the will to live. Yeah. But it has to do with being stripped down from your thoughts are not who you are, your feelings are not who you are, even your body isn't who you are. But there's something in you like an eternal light that is never going to go out.
This is an insight that comes from that experience.
Yeah.
Do you have memory of coming out of the coma?
I remember simply waking up one day and saying, "Where am I?" I was in this hospital bed, and I had no memory of how I got here or anything at all.
I'm trying to put myself in the position of your parents.
Oh, and that was the most interesting thing, because I was very, very close to my father. He was a wonderful father. My mother was that thing that was so rare at that time, a professional woman. And she had a high position in the Department of Health in the city of New York. She went to work 2 hours before I woke up and came home 2 hours after I went to sleep. So I didn't know her at all. She was that lady who lived in the house with us, right? And I had a governess that took care of matters and my father, and this lady who sort of passed through now and then. When I became ill, my father was devastated. I mean, he was incapacitated, devastated. My mother, who I didn't know at all, came out of the woodwork. And I remember after being in the coma and not coming out of the coma, I weighed about 75 pounds. I'm 5'9", right? And they took me home. And I lay on the couch in the living room for about 3 weeks. And I whined, because I was very spoiled. I was a very spoiled child of older parents. Whined, made life miserable for everybody. And one day my mother came in with my clothes and threw them on the bed and said, "Put these on." And I said, "Why should I put them on?" She said, "We're going somewhere." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Put the clothes on." So I put the clothes on. She put me in the car. She drove me to some place in Long Island where they gave lessons on how to do competitive driving. Right? How to race cars. And I learned how to drive a car at 120 miles an hour and win races, even though I couldn't walk 2 blocks.
How did your mother have this particular instinct?
It wasn't an instinct. She had been a nurse and a professional woman, and separated from the family by these things for years, and she brought everything she knew to me and gave it to me.
So what was the healing in this, in driving 120 miles an hour?
That I knew my power, and it had nothing to do with how strong my body was. And that I was undamaged by this illness. My body was hurt, but the rest of me was stronger than it had ever been.
And she watched you going around a track at 120 miles an hour.
Not just that, but she took me back to school. And I was a freshman in college at 15.
Yeah.
Right? And she left me up there with my sorority house. And my sorority mother, you know, the woman who was living with us. And I went to school and graduated from school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And many, many years later, we were in the Russian tea room in New York. And at that time, I was a resident in pediatrics at Cornell. And I asked her, I said, Mom, weren't you afraid I was going to die? I mean, how could you have taken me up there and left me there like that? And she looked at me, she said, Rachel, I was afraid you were going to die. And that if I didn't take you up there and leave you there, you would die. And I needed to give you the chance not to die.
Wow. 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 So
she was just the right mother for a child like me.
Amazing. Amazing that you had that. And so you remembered your own power. You got a sense of, you talk a lot about purpose, and I'm wondering how much you connect that with also your extensive experience with...
I wouldn't have connected it cognitively.
Yeah.
I'm not a very cognitive person. I'm a very intuitive person, but not very good in the cognitive area. What she did is put me in touch with the will to live in me and to witness it, which of course makes it stronger. Believe in it, you know, it makes it stronger. And I think she saved my life. And my father would have turned me, Gladys Remen. Yeah. My father would have turned me into an invalid, and he would have used his strength to take care of me. My mother put me in touch with my strength.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
A beautiful story.
Yeah, she was a very wise person. And literally, I was a child who had not spent, I'd never had a real conversation with her until I was 15 years old.
You and she ended up close.
I wouldn't say close. I would say we're the same kind of women.
And what is that?
The word that comes to me is invincible, but of course it's not true.
You know, I think considering that you were told to expect to be done on the planet at 25,
Younger, yeah.
that's pretty close to invincible.
I think that my response to this was a response that a lot of my patients have had, that usually people try to talk them out of it or work them out of it. My response was rage. And it's a very healthy response to being told you're limited. It's the will to live expressed in a negative sense. And when my own patients responded with rage and hostility and hating the whole world, I would know they were going to be fine.
Wow. I'm sorry, my mind instantly goes to sort of the moment that we're living in, the time we're living in, and the struggle between feeling rage and feeling defeated, feeling simply defeated. And I go through a lot of feeling defeated. And I'm learning from you that maybe I need to get in touch a little bit more with the anger that I feel.
You're allowed to be angry. You should be angry.
Yeah.
It's a very, in fact, it comes from the spiritual strength in you, that kind of anger.
Yeah. Finding how to express it and where it needs to go. So that it goes to places where it's needed, where it's actually needed.
Well, it's interesting, how to express it. Some things are so important you express them any way you can. And I'm just thinking of some of my younger patients who had been given a diagnosis, you're chronically ill, you give up your dreams, whatever that. And they would come in and they'd be presented to me by whoever referred them to me as, this is a problem patient, I can't deal with them, they're just self-destructive, they're this, that, and the other thing, and they won't do this and they won't do that. And I'd say, fine, send them over. Because that kind of energy, redirected, is going to help them live.
Yeah, yeah. And you have your own experience of being non-compliant.
That's it. Non-compliant with the illness.
Yeah, yeah. And you have lived with this illness for decades.
Oh, I would say, let's see, I'm 86. I was about 16. What's that, 70 years?
70 years. 70 years.
And it's not that I've lived well. I've had, at least 8 major operations in my life, surgery.
Yeah.
I take medicine every day. I have all throughout my entire life, but I haven't been dead all these years.
Yeah.
I've had a life that I've enjoyed very much.
Yeah. What is one of your big joys in life when you say, I enjoy life very much?
When I see the young people catch fire, it's the only way to describe it, where they're learning and learning and learning, and suddenly they realize that this isn't just book learning, this is a way of life, and that they are going to be able to live in a certain way,
right,
by the highest values in them if they choose.
You're talking about maybe medical students who have gone through the program that you created, the Healers
Or gone through any medical program.
I love hearing you say something about the joy that gives you, because I also know how much you don't like to hear it when people tell you. I know you have an allergy to people saying, you changed my life, or something you said was really important to me and affected me ongoing. I know that when we pre-talked, you said, I don't want hero worship.
Well, let's put it differently. People are always trying to assign their power to me, and I keep giving it back to them.
So this is where I'm gonna. I think it's important for people to understand the lineage that they come through. I have a kind of strength, and it was enhanced, it was reinforced, or it was awakened through something I did that came through Naomi Remen and her work. I think that's really, it's valuable not only to have the awakening, but also valuable to have a sense of where that comes from, where I am in a kind of transmission. Because those students who are now doctors, many of whom have been doctors for a long time, they also have the ability to pass on something about purpose, something about being a healer to people that they teach, to people that do residencies and internships with them. And that's, I think it's valuable to know sort of where it comes from.
It doesn't come from me, though, in my own sense of things. It comes through me. It's much older than I am.
Mm-hmm.
It comes through me and a great many other people. And it's part of being part of the human race, has this dimension to it.
Sure.
That it can affirm life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you are a flame fanner in other people.
I'm more like an awakener.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people have had experiences that people have explained to them in ways that are much too small. You know, oh, you were so lucky. That this, no, not at all. I wasn't lucky.
Yes, finish the sentence. You weren't lucky.
No.
You were.
I got in touch with something in myself that was larger than the situation I was in.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived from there.
Yeah.
And I took risks.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't lucky. I was unlucky.
There's something very powerful about the thought of living in a way that you are held by something bigger, that you are aware of the particular ocean that you are swimming in. How would you describe this thing that is larger that you have hooked into?
I would just call it mystery. Just call it mystery. I don't know. I find things, I don't quickly label things. Oh, this is this, or this is that. Because the part of me that labels things always is making things too small.
Sure, it's very limiting.
Very limiting, yeah. I just sort of say, now that's something really to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And when someone comes, people used to come to me with chronic illness because I work with people and they say, well, what does this mean for the future? For me.
Yeah.
And I would say, only you know that. I don't know that.
Yeah.
But you know that, and you can make it small or big, depending on what you decide.
How has this awareness of mystery that flows through you, how has that, if you can say, how has that been part of the work that you've done, the things you've created? How has your life been a manifestation of what you perceive as the mystery?
I think that everyone's life is a manifestation of mystery. Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, I'm not certain I do either. I guess, I think...
you see, I'm not limited by being an intellectual, shall we put it this way. I'm a mystic.
Yeah, those poor, limited intellectuals.
I'm a mystic. I mean, things happen. I don't have to know why. I just need to know that they happen.
No, I mean, I think, you have had in your life a kind of ministry or a kind of rabbinate in a way, right? Like that, you have students for whom you've opened up portals of mystery. Students who, through their connection with what you've created, have found something deep in themselves. And that's a kind of gift, and it's a kind of ministry. And I don't say that in a cultish way or a institutional religious kind of way, but in sort of the highest way of what you, in your words, what you've awakened in people is more than just here's a set of skills to keep you from burning out as a doctor or something like that, right? Which someone else, if you ask them to create, to respond to the problem of Dr. Burnout or whatever, that's what they would do. Here's a bunch of things.
It's because people are too much in their heads. I'm a mystic.
Yeah.
A real one. Right? So, I'll take a group of medical students, I'll sit them down, and they'll have a patient presented to them, someone who's got some chronic illness and who has managed to survive it and what have you. And then I'll say, what do you wonder about? And we'll spend the next 4 hours wondering about what they just saw and what their conclusions are. What does this say about life? What does this say about our role with respect to other people? What do we really offer people? Is it all these facts that we got? Or is it something else? And, people have said to me such a thing as, I have this crazy thought. And like, well, what is it? Well, it's sort of like I don't know, I think you're like my mother. And I said, what do you mean your mother? That you gave birth to me. Or you helped me give birth to myself. Right? Things like this. And I think that's what we do for each other. We hold up a mirror steadily so that all the things they've been told about themselves that are true, especially the things in childhood, they get to look at that and to say, is that really true? Or maybe it isn't really true. Yeah. And I'm especially, of course, deeply touched by people who are dealing with difficulties, physical difficulties, chronic illnesses, and are able to find in themselves the life force to live beyond that. And almost everybody can do this, but they need another person to hold up the mirror.
Yeah. I'm wondering, I'm thinking about your role as a founder of the Cancer Help Program at Commonweal, which also then spawned the healing circles, which have gone global. And what is it in what you're saying about holding up a mirror that makes those programs so powerful for people?
I think it is a way of seeing who they really are, that they're not a person with cancer. They get in touch with whatever has enabled them to persevere and to live. The actual life force in them. I remember the first time we sat down at Commonweal, this is before your time even, and we were sitting in a circle with 8 people, all of whom had cancer, right? And that there was this sense of life force in the circle that was like breathtaking, that every person in that circle had walked through fire to get into the room. And there they were, sitting there laughing and drinking coffee. Right? And I said, this is what people need to be in touch with. Not what's the right medicine and all that. There are other people who tell them the right medicine, the right treatment. They need to be in touch with the life force that's in them. And I have felt that at Commonweal. I feel it there all the time.
The life force.
Yeah. It's a place to go and remember that. We're just reading, the series of applications for the upcoming retreat that's going to be in about a few days now. And look at what people are bringing to the table, and it's like, whoa, right? And the energy that's in the papers, what they say about themselves and about life is amazing.
You're still the medical director of the Cancer Help Program? So you read the applications.
50 years. I read the applications. I read them, all of them, and then I discuss them with whoever's running the retreat. And say, watch for this. This person is struggling with that. This is a person who needs to be listened to. See if you find opportunities to validate this person's perspective.
That's beautiful work. And a long time doing it. Besides that, you're mostly retired now?
I've never been, how can I put it? I don't see that I've never been working and now not working.
Right.
I've always been like this.
Right.
Yeah.
You've had engagements and
sometimes I'm working with a group of people. Sometimes I have a job they pay me for.
Yeah.
Mostly I don't have a job they pay me for.
What is this last, you've lived here in Concord for what now, 6 years-ish? 6 years? What has it been like this?
I love living here.
Oh yeah, why? Tell us.
First of all, it's beautiful here. There's a lot of living green things that are very close to you, you know. I have a tiny garden that is spectacularly beautiful and very old. The house we're sitting in, the room we're sitting in, has a story, which is quite remarkable.
Go ahead.
The house belonged to a Japanese family. And in World War II, they were rounded up and shipped to the middle of the United States and put into, well, I forget what they call it. Internment camp, right? And when they came back here, the Japanese father at the time was so, not outraged, but brokenhearted, I would say. Was his response. And that's a pretty high-level response to something like this.
Yeah.
And when it came time for his grandchildren, who lived in this little house over here with the family, to go to school, he didn't want to send them to school because he was afraid that these Japanese children would face prejudice, and they probably would have. So he built this 2-room house.
We're sitting in this.
We're sitting in it. It's just across the way from the house that they lived in. And this was a schoolroom where his grandchildren were schooled, and gradually the grandchildren's friends would come here and be schooled along with the grandchildren.
Wow.
And this was a schoolhouse for a long, long, long time.
How did you come by the story? I mean, usually when you buy a house,
I bought it from his great-grandson.
who told you the history of the place? How do you feel that history here? Do you experience it in any way?
I feel that this place is very calm. There's a lot of room for different kinds of reactions from people here. You know, very often I'm in a place which I feel like the environment is telling me, you can say this, but you can't say that. You could do this. You certainly couldn't sit on the floor. I mean, you know, there's all these unspoken limitations that the environment and the people who form the environment present without being fully aware, right? This doesn't have that. This doesn't have that. It doesn't give you any cues.
There's safety. There's freedom and safety.
To be exactly who you are and say exactly what you need to say.
I think your experience of it also does honor to its history. Really does.
You know, I think it's very sad that often when people are confronted with difficulty, they're told what their limitations are. You can't do this. This means you won't be able to do that, or whatever. And they're usually told their limitations by people in authority.
Yeah.
With like doctors or various people like this. And so that's heavy. It's really heavy. It comes with expertise. And almost always those limitations aren't true.
Makes me wonder, what are your feelings about the battle metaphor that people so often use with cancer and other diseases?
I don't see my own chronic illness, which has never healed, as an opponent. I see it as it allows me to see deeper into situations and to see things that are usually not up on the surface. Yeah. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Yeah.
It's so commonplace for that metaphor to be used, and being a warrior, and then when someone dies of a disease, inevitably, the obituary begins, so and so lost their battle, and I think I think that makes it erases, right? It erases the
That's funny.
the life that somebody has, right? Like by casting them as having failed in a certain way, lost a battle, and I think. And it always troubles me. And I always, when someone hands me something, for instance, if I have to make an announcement that someone died and in the congregation, and their children hand me something that begins with so-and-so lost their battle, I always rewrite it. It's okay to die of something. We're all going to die of something, but that doesn't mean that every single person ultimately fails. We succeed, we live for as long as we can live. And we do so with as much grace and beauty and strength as we can. And that's what we're here on earth to do that. And then that will come to an end. And that's the natural course. Some element of it, right?
Yeah.
The physical part of that will come to an end. And become something else. But that's also our loss of loved ones is sad, and living a life until you die is also the happy ending, right? It's also the nature of this life. You live until you die.
I think that a lot of the people that I have met have, if they were to be asked about their chronic illness, something they have that they never were cured of it, because we don't know how to cure people of it, right? If they would see that as an enemy, or how they would describe, personify this illness, most people wouldn't see it as an enemy.
Yeah.
I think that the life that I would have led, if I hadn't become ill, would have been that of a wealthy housewife in Upper New York State, right? And there's nothing wrong with that life, except that the life that I have led has been a richer life than that, a more satisfying, perhaps, life than that.
Although I have to say, I am enjoying, just for this moment, picturing you as a wealthy housewife in, where did you say?
I come from a family of wealthy housewives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Upper New York State.
Upper New York State.
Syracuse. New York.
Syracuse, yeah.
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 So you would not have become a doctor. You were already in college when you got sick.
When I was 15, yes.
Were you already intending to be a doctor? Was that already in your mind? Because you came from a family of
doctors.
Of doctors.
Yes. Both the men and the women. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would argue that particular fire was already in you.
I don't know that it was or it wasn't. I knew that it was the right thing to say to the adults around me.
What, that I want to be a doctor? What did you gain from it?
Acceptance. Respect.
They saw themselves in you.
They felt validated.
Yeah. And you were an only child, so...
Of elderly parents.
Right, so they didn't have a son to become a doctor.
No.
What have been the great loves in your life? I don't necessarily mean people.
I don't know, there have been things that I've thrown myself into and then thrown myself out of them again.
Like what?
Like being a concert pianist.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, I went to Juilliard when I was 4.
Do you still play? Do you have a piano?
No.
When was the last time you played?
Oh, I would say maybe about 50 years ago.
50.
Mm-hmm.
Did it give you joy?
It gave me a lot of recognition.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't say it gave me joy, no.
You haven't thought about that for a while.
No, I had forgotten about it, actually. Yeah, music was a very big part of my early life. Yeah.
How so? How did that manifest?
Well, Juilliard had a program for little children, and I was part of that program.
Did your parents play or make
No.
music?
No, no. But that was the first shock when I discovered as an adolescent that I was not going to be a musician. And all these people felt betrayed.
Your family that
No,
took
not my
such pride?
family, my
teachers.
teachers. Yeah.
What were they like? I'm picturing old German men.
No, they were mostly women. Juilliard is an amazing place. It still is an amazing place. But it was something I could do. I could do it very well, but it wasn't something I was meant to do. I always think of it as a past life.
A holdover from a past life.
Yeah. And, you know, when you come across very young children who can, who have great gift and all, I always think of it as a past life.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also notice how much how much we can get boxed in by what we're good at when we're young, and think that that's somehow our purpose or our path, without having the chance to expand. I think about that with music. I think about it with athletics. When I have a great deal of admiration, but also a sad compassion when I watch the Olympics. And I think about
Wow. Yeah.
lives that have been fully occupied by a path because it's something that this kid was good at age 4.
Yeah. Well, you think about yourself also. How did the people around you deal with whatever your gift is? And how did you learn to deal with whatever your gift is because of the way they dealt with your gift?
Right.
Yeah.
Because there can be so much projection, so much fulfillment through you of what they didn't get to do.
Exactly. Especially if they came here as immigrants.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a photograph I have somewhere of me and my father. My father was my parent until my single parent, really, until I was 15. He was a magnificent father. And we're at the ocean, and we're right where the wave comes in and it stops. You know, so there's a little bit of froth on this. And I am about 10 months old, and he's crouched down, and he's holding me upright because I can't stand by myself. And we are both looking out, and he's got me focused on the horizon. And there's this picture, and it's our whole relationship.
Showing you the distance you can go.
Showing me the horizon.
Yeah. Keep your sights. You, before we turned on the camera, you started sharing some memories of what it was like during the war, during World War II.
Yeah.
And a bunch of memories started pouring out, and I asked you to please stop so we could do it on camera. But I'm wondering a couple of things, if you could share some of those memories, but also how is that experience still part of you, if you can identify that?
Oh, well, there's a very funny story. I regard it as a funny story, but I'll tell it to you in context. I was a kindergartner in the war. So I was a very tiny person, just beginning, you know, my school experience. And all my uncles, who were doctors, they were at Iwo Jima. And they came with their uniforms, and I thought this was so wonderful, right? You know, I have pictures of them holding me, and I'm looking at them with such pride. You know, I'm about 4,
Yeah.
or something like this. And I had a governess. My mother went to work before I got up in the morning, and she came back long after I was asleep. And so I had a governess. And my governess was a German refugee, someone who had escaped from Germany, presented herself as a German Jew, right? And she was my governess, and she took care of me in the
her name?
house. Nora, 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 right? And one day, late in the war, right, she put me down from my nap, got on an airplane and flew to Argentina, where her lover, who was a high official in the Nazi army, had escaped to.
And so was the suspicion that the whole I'm a Jewish refugee was all a lie?
All a lie, total lie.
Wow.
Right? Right. So that was one piece of this, right? And I was devastated. I mean, I loved her. She was there for me.
Yeah.
And then one day she was just simply gone.
Do you remember your parents ever talking about that afterwards?
No, I don't remember them. They simply said where she had gone to. But I didn't understand the ramifications of this at all.
Yeah.
But the thought was that she was a Nazi agent.
Wow.
And had found the perfect place to hide, which is in the bosom of a Jewish family, right? Where she had spent about a third of the war.
Wow. Wow. Was she a good governess?
Yes. She was a
Resume, governess, spy.
Yes, she was.
You were also telling me about the necklaces.
Oh, that was an important piece too. Oh, and we were small children. We didn't really understand. I mean, I remember sometimes they would tell us in the class that so-and-so's father was not going to come home again ever, right? And that he had gone to war and he was not going to come home. And he had obviously someone who had been killed over there, right? And we were like 4.5, 5 years old, right? We were each given a necklace to wear, and it had our name on it, our birth date, probably our phone number, some information about us, about that big. And we each got one to wear. It was a gift from the school, right? I came home, I was so excited and showed it to my father, and he didn't have a reaction that I understood. He didn't look happy about this at all. And he said, if you give me that, I'll make you another one. And so I gave him my necklace, right? That night I went to bed, and I was disturbed. I could feel that there was something wrong, right? And I remember waking up and going to the kitchen and peeking around the lintel of the door, and there's my father sitting at the kitchen table. He was an artist, but he's also a pharmacist. And he was painting something. And I didn't want to let him know that I was out of bed because that was not a good thing. Good girls didn't do that. So I went back to bed. And the next morning, he gave me the most beautiful tag with little tiny flowers painted on it. Beautiful. With my name and my phone number and my birth date. All the information that was on the other tag. And I wore it every day. We were told we had to wear these every day. And I wore it every day till the end of the war. They were body tags.
Yeah.
For the children. I mean,
in case the school was bombed.
In case the school was bombed, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And he was crying when he was painting the tag.
Yeah, because it's an anticipation, right? An anticipation
of the possibility that this would be the way to identify his child's body.
But to respond to that fear and that awfulness by making art, by making it for you himself. It was a black circle, and the paint
were bright colors, very, very delicately painted flowers, little flowers, with my name and my birth date. All the information was on it, but it was beautiful.
What kind of art did he make? He painted.
I don't think there's anything of his in here. He used to love to make portraits of people, charcoal.
Yeah.
Charcoal portraits. He did also oil paintings. I have his oil paintings. Wow. Yeah. He was really quite good.
Wow. Were there other artists in your extended family?
No. No.
Did your parents have siblings?
My mother had a whole bunch of siblings. My mother and her sister were nurses, and all of the men, all 5 of them, are doctors.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. My father had a sister and a brother who were much younger than they were. And I've never figured that out. There's a big space. I think in that space were a number of children who died.
Mm.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been uncommon.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me that your grandfather, the rabbi,
An Orthodox rabbi.
Had that the family business became medicine and healing.
The family business is definitely medicine and healing.
Yeah.
I mean, my immediate family are all doctors and nurses. My cousins. I think just about everybody in our family is in medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're scattered all over the place. I mean, my nearest cousins are in Texas and, like this. We're all over the place.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Are you in touch?
Not really. I mean, I'm in touch in the sense when I put together the family tree, which I did, I sent it to everybody.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But I wouldn't recognize them on the street.
Mm-hmm. 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 So this is a beautiful place you live in. The teacups and the rug from childhood, the jasmine right outside the door, and I don't think the microphones are picking up the sounds of all the bird song that's been going on.
We have a lot of birds. We feed the birds. That's why we have so many birds.
Yeah.
And we feed the birds because the cats love to watch them.
Yeah.
And my big cat, who is not allowed to go outside because he can jump the walls, right?
These are Maine Coons.
He's a Maine Coon.
Like
both
prehistoric
of them
saber-toothed tiger cats.
They're very, very large. And he has a place where the birds gather outside to go nya, nya, nya to him. And he lies there and he watches them. And they eat in front of him and they flirt their wings and they know that he can't get out, right?
So maybe this is a last question for you. In the last few months, a lot of us have been living with a different kind of dread than we've had for a while, with the change in the government, with a loss of a sense of security, of being protected by a system that works, a kind of fear of, well, I don't need to give the laundry list, the ways in which people are feeling. Lots of people are feeling less secure, more at risk, more vulnerable.
That our democracy is at risk.
And the democracy itself is at risk. And I'm curious if you have any thoughts to share about how we move through difficult times, how we move through times of not knowing. What do we draw on? If you have any thoughts for us on that.
It's not so much what we draw on, it's what we do. And I think we need to basically strengthen each other. We defeat each other. I think it's very difficult to predict. I don't think the people themselves can predict. I'm not sure the people that have been, nominated and sworn into various roles in our government are capable of carrying those roles out. It's not clear that they're capable or that their life experience has made them capable of carrying these roles out. So it's a time of a lot of insecurity for people, and it's very hard to predict. I feel that there's an authoritarian sort of sense of government, which many, many people don't agree with. You know, this is not the American way to do things. Right? I think we're really facing an unknown future.
So how do we hang on to our sense of self and our sense of purpose and our sense of possibility?
The same way we always hung on to them.
Yeah, which is?
Yeah. And I think it helps. I think Commonweal has done some very interesting things about helping people find others simply to be with and talk to. So that if you have a sense of wanting a certain kind of future and a certain kind of way of being, that you can find other people who agree with that or who support that and who are bringing that into whatever they're trained to do, medicine or law or whatever. I think that becomes very important, that our value system is no longer something we carry around, but it's something we really want to share and feed in each other. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So finding your caress.
If you want to say it that way, yeah. I think that's a good way to say it. And I think Commonweal's been doing that for a long time. It's been a place for people who are innovators to normalize themselves, to find other people who are innovators and other people who are thinking outside of the box that we're in, and other people who care for certain values, not just for themselves and their family, but for us all. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think this might fly against your whole every instinct in you. How would you like to be remembered?
I don't care. No, I don't care. I think I've, like everybody else alive, made a certain contribution to the world. Mm-hmm. I think we've all made a contribution. Most of us don't realize what it is, but we have. We have contributed to the people around us, strengthened people who were in need of strengthening, accompanied people who were lonely. We've done, a lot of things.
You said we've all made our own contribution.
We've all made a difference. It would be a different world if we were not in it.
Yeah.
Right? And hopefully, whatever that difference is gets carried forward by people who may know nothing about us, but may be deeply influenced by us.
I think about that with the ancestors.
I think about that with medicine. You teach young people a certain way of dealing with pain and loss and respect, right? And they teach their students. And finally, 150 or 300 years from now, a person is sitting frightened by some physical problem or some dreadful diagnosis in a room, and whoever their practitioner, whatever they call them, maybe they call them a doctor, maybe they call them something else, comes into that room and it behaves in a certain way and has certain goals. And I am present and alive in that room, even though I've been dead for 500 years.
Because your spiritual DNA has gotten passed down.
Has gotten passed down. And that's what's important to me. That we've helped humanity manifest its best self in some way. And I think of Commonweal that way, of humanity manifesting its best self, of empowering people who illness has stripped of their efficacy. Some of the most powerful people I've ever met have been the people with cancer they're not powerful in spite of the cancer. They're powerful because of the cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all of the ways that your spiritual DNA is already getting carried forward by so many of your students and the students of your students. Not in isolation, but mixed with all of the lineages that they are part of.
Exactly.
But like any gene, it gets carried on in combination, and it manifests when it needs to manifest.
And it changes the world, right? And my sense is these are very, very critical times for definition. What does it mean to be a human being? What is right relationship? Just these very basic questions. And is kindness important?
Yeah.
What does real power look like in an interactional sense? And I think these are very, very critical times for us as a human race. It's very, very, very challenging times.
Yeah, they are. So, so grateful for what you have manifested in this world.
And I'm not trying to manifest anything. I've had these discussions with Michael for a long time. I don't see myself as teaching people anything or manifesting anything, other than.
Yeah, I'm just not certain you're the final judge of that.
Well, I'm perhaps not, but I think we all carry light.
Yeah.
And we've all had experiences that dim that light and experiences that brighten that light, and that we can brighten the light in each other. And that, I think, is the most important thing to be able to do. And it doesn't matter if you're a doctor or you're sweeping the streets of your city, for a job. That brightening the light is the thing that we all can do, and it's the most important thing because it means our survival as a human race.
Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for agreeing to take this time.
It was fun. It's always fun to talk to you, sweetie.
Don't take it, don't. 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 Don't take it, don't.
The river is a healer. The river is a